Okay guys, so I was asked to do a little review of a couple of different direct-to-garment print providers after I ordered some samples for my new, I guess, design line that I plan on launching first on Etsy and then hopefully eventually on Shopify depending on the performance on Etsy. But anyways, the two providers I'm going to be reviewing today, the two that I ordered my samples from, are going to be Printful. That's going to be these two shirts right here. I know they're different designs. Usually when you order samples, you want to do like the same design so you can see how that design looks on the same, like on different shirts. They do have a lot of the same elements, same motifs. I wanted to sample a couple different like base colors with different designs and see how that looked. So like I said, I know you're supposed to generally order the same design on different shirts just to get a feel for what that same design is going to look like on different bases with different printing techniques. But I didn't do that. You'll see, like I said, this like starburst, like line design is actually the same on both of them. It's the same element, just placed in the two different images. I do reuse some of my elements when I do my designs. Obviously the little stars, the crescent moons, even though they're recolored, same element. So I did use different designs. I know you're generally supposed to use the same designs for all of your samples, but I did want a good sampling of what these different designs and colors were going to look like on these different shirts. So these two are from Printful. This one over here on the end is from CustomCat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I like about each shirt and what I like about each of the companies, and then just kind of give a final verdict from there. I did also order a sublimation print tote bag from Printful, which I'll go over towards the end as well. That's going to be a separate thing. So these are printed with direct to garment printing. Sublimation printing is a slightly different process. But first we're going to talk about the shirts here. So first of all, with the Printful shirts, I'm talking about the print and the print quality itself. Real quick, I will also say, all of these shirts are the same base shirt. These are all the Bella Plus canvas, 3001U, which is their basic just unisex t-shirt basic unisex t-shirt. There we go. So it's going to be just like a very soft jersey cotton, slightly higher quality than your average like Hanes or Gildan shirt. So it's highly recommended by a lot of people who are within the print on demand who are very serious about building a brand. So I do like the Bella Canvas a lot. These are actually my first Bella Canvas shirts, and I'm in love with how soft and lightweight this cotton is. I usually get very bothered by seams on my shirts. I don't like short sleeve shirts. I like tank tops or I like long sleeves. There's no in between. But these are so light and soft, it doesn't bother me as much. It still bothers me sometimes, especially like occasionally you get that little like seam at the bottom where it's like right here where it's kind of hard. But these are so soft, it doesn't bother me nearly as much as a normal like standard like Hanes or Gildan like t-shirt might. And I'm talking about just like the base Hanes or Gildan. I know the Gildan soft styles are supposed to be way more comfortable. But just putting that out there, these are all the Bella Plus canvas. These two are the exact same shirt, just from two different providers. So these are going to be both the black Bella canvas. This is the Oxblood black, so it's an extremely dark maroon. I'm in love with this color. So I want to talk a little bit about what I like about each of these shirts. For reference, when I do my artwork, when I do my designs, they are all on a 12-inch by 16-inch canvas at 350 dots per inch. I don't use vector softwares like Adobe Illustrator. I've never been very good at them personally. Despite multiple classes and tutorials, I struggle with the tools a lot to get them to do what I want them to do. So personally, the vector programs don't necessarily work. I do all of my work in raster. I use a combination of Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop to make my files. And again, those are at 12 inches by 16 inch, 350 dots per inch for the resolution. So these are generally really high quality files, very high resolution files, very clear artwork. So I'm going to go ahead and go in detail about what I like about each shirt, and then kind of give a final verdict comparing the two companies. So I'm going to go in over here. I'm going to start with our Oxblood Black. This is my cat skull design with the red lilies. So first of all, I love the size of the print area on the Printful shirts. It's nice and big. I like the designs that go pretty close up to the neckline here. I feel like it looks more natural on the figure. So a lot of smaller designs I feel like are kind of centered within a tiny little box on the chest. It looks awkward with some print providers when it's in that little box. In my opinion, this is my personal opinion, a lot of people don't mind or don't even notice these things. I like this nice large print area. Obviously, when these are flattened out like this, you can kind of see the edges of where the canvas was when I was designing these. When it's actually on a figure, because of the size of this print area, it's really not noticeable. It looks very natural to me. Again, that is my opinion, but I love the size of the print area on these. So I'm gonna go a little bit closer in here with a little bit more detail as far as like the actual print quality goes. So I want to really get in here and show y'all just how crisp these lines are. These lines are incredibly crisp. I want to go over that real quick. That is not a print error. That is a design error. I have these little dots that are part of my my star pattern, my star brush. It's actually a brush I use in Clip Studio to create this effect. And one of the dots ended up behind that line without me noticing. It slipped past my attention. So I got to fix that before I actually release this design on the market. But that is not a print error. That is a me error. That is not Printful. I messed that up. So just clarifying that real quick. So these lines are incredibly crisp. It feels weird to say the ink is thick. I would not say it's thick. I would say it's very pigmented, like high quality, because the thing is the design itself feels very light. A lot of these kind of direct-to-garment shirts, it feels very heavy. Where the design is, it's very thick. Like you can feel the design there almost. These feel very light, but still not a lot of like the base, like not, honestly on this one, none of the base shirt like fibers or colors really show through. This is a gradient that's intentional in part of the design. Part of why I like this shirt so much is how well this color works with this design. But none of the shirt is really, like the base shirt is really showing through with the design. If you don't know anything about direct-to-garment printing, it's a really common issue just as part of the process that when you're printing a lighter color on a darker base, some of that darker base shirt is going to show through. You'll see little bits of fibers. Pardon the animal hair. I have 4 cats and 2 dogs. Hair happens in this house. So a lot of times with these direct-to-garment printers, you will find that little bits of the base shirt will show through on lighter prints, and I'm not really seeing that at all with this design, which is incredible, honestly, because it's a very common issue. It's not even how bad it is will often depend on the print provider, but it's something that happens with pretty much every print provider, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to my next shirt. But these lines are incredibly crisp. The colors are very accurate to what the original digital design was. They're very vibrant. The ink is very pigmented, like evenly covering the surface. So like I said, none of that like base fiber is showing through the print. So I was honestly super impressed by that. I've always heard very good things about Printful. But with this shirt especially, they definitely exceeded my expectations, and I already had very high expectations just based on what I'd heard. So I'm going to come over to the Luna Moth design in the middle here. And I'm going to show y'all what I was talking about as far as like that base fiber kind of showing through the shirt just a little bit. Obviously, you can really barely see anything from here. Like, I doubt you would even be able to find it from this distance, that you would be able to notice where that fiber is kind of peeking through. It was a very tiny spot. I didn't notice it at first. When I was looking at the shirt a little bit closer is when I found it. Like I said, this is to be expected of pretty much every print provider. So the fact that it's so minimal with Printful is honestly something that I'm super stoked about. So I'm going to show y'all here what I'm talking about. Very tiny. See how close you have to get before you see that? Just a little bit of black fiber showing through that lighter color. It's to be expected. Honestly, it's astounding to me that it's showing through on the green and not on the white. The white is perfect right here. It's super crisp. Again, very crisp lines. The print is very high quality. I don't know if you can really see it, but this isn't like a special like effect or anything that they offer, like you don't, but this is supposed to be kind of like a goldish looking yellow just from the hex code color that I used in Photoshop, but it almost shimmers. Like it actually looks like a shimmery, almost gold ink on this. So I'm super impressed by that actually. I don't know that it's intentional, if it's just the pigment that they use to mix in, but it really makes the design pop. Again, very vibrant colors, especially for being a light design on a very dark background. So I'm incredibly impressed by this. I'm blown away. I really love how these shirts turned out. Sorry about the hair again. So one other thing that Printful does that most other print providers don't provide, and CustomCat especially does not provide, is your own logo and your own kind of like tag on here. One thing, again, I have some sensory issues as far as like, you know, like I said, seams and stuff go. So tags do tend to bother me a lot. I love that there's not an actual tag here. It's printed on the shirt. That is awesome to me. Also, you can do the custom logo. So what I do personally, you can do your own custom tag if you'd like. But what I do personally is I use their base tag. And then they just allow you a space to upload your logo. So they do all of the required, like legally required information on the tag, like all of the care information, what the shirt is made of, the actual material. So it is 100% cotton, where it's made, and then the size as well. And then you just put you put your own logo up here. I will say with the logo specifically, again, I feel like this is a me error and not a Printful error. I did not take into account just how small the logo is going to be. It's not incredibly clear. And I think a lot of that is because I did not take into account how small the print was going to be. I did not account for that. It's a very, if I show you the actual digital image, it's a very detailed image for a very small print area on what is not a completely smooth surface. If this were being printed on paper, especially like a photo paper or something that's incredibly like smooth surface, this would be super crisp and clear. But when printing on fabric, you have to take into account that the fabric surface, the individual fibers that make up the texture of the fabric, are going to affect the final resolution of the print on the fabric. So that is not something that I accounted for when I did this logo. So it's something that I will edit before I release the final product, just to make sure that it is going to look, you know, good in the final product, that it's not going to be blurry like this. So I've more or less finished with the Printful. So now I'm going to come over to the CustomCat. I'm not going to say that there's nothing that I like about this shirt, because it's an okay shirt. It's an acceptable shirt. So first of all, I don't know if you can see it on the video. There's this kind of weird green tint to it. I don't think it looks very obvious on the video itself. And I'm kind of losing daylight here too, so that's going to affect a little bit of how this looks. But I've seen this shirt in multiple lights. I can tell you for certain there is a greenish tint that is there that was not there when I designed it. So that was something that was a little, like, immediately noticeable to me and a little off-putting. I will also say the colors are not as bright. They look very bright on the video. I guarantee you they are much duller in person. They are very dull in person, which isn't terrible. It works for this kind of design. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why I'm moving that shirt so y'all can see my pink little bed sheets right underneath it. But it's not terrible for this design. Those muted colors kind of work with this style of artwork, but they are not what I was going for here. They're not what I wanted. It was not the goal. So I have this weird green tinge, and the colors themselves are a lot more muted compared to the Printful, which are incredibly bright and clear. I'm kind of panning over to show y'all that. When you see it next to the other ones, it's also very noticeable. Speaking of seeing it next to the other ones, the reason I folded these shirts this way with their sleeves folded in is so you could see the difference in print area on these. The Printful is so much bigger. Like, you have so much more room in this print area versus the CustomCat. Obviously, you can't see it very well on the width with them right next to each other. Actually, you can still kind of see it, actually. So the CustomCat is both thinner and shorter as far as the print area goes than the Printful, which almost covers the entire front of the shirt. I can't say enough good things about Printful right now. But the print area is very small for the CustomCat shirts. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show y'all a little bit more on the actual, like, line detail on these. There's a little bit of a white halo around my other colors, and even my white, like, if you look at the star right here, looks fuzzy. This file was the same resolution as these other two at that 12 by 16 at 350 dots per inch. This was the same resolution. In fact, it was done on the same canvas. Like, I do multiple different designs in a canvas, put them each in individual folders, and then that's how I do that. So they were done in the same program on the same canvas at the same size and resolution. So this one, these two turned out amazingly clear. This one, you can even almost tell it looks a little hazy even from this distance compared to the Printful ones. I don't know if you can see also the gold lines right here, this one compared to this one. These in Photoshop are the same hex code, like the same hexadecimal code, for these, or I'm sorry, it's not hexadecimal, is it? They're the same color, basically. Like the color designation in Photoshop, like as a digital color designation, is the same. So they don't look the same at all. In fact, these are probably where you see that green tinge the best, because these are more of like a true gold, like they've got that real warm tone, whereas these definitely, you can see that kind of green tinge coming through. Even though these have the red kind of starting as like a gradient towards the base, it's not as warm on this gold color as it is with this one. And this is more as what was intended for these designs. So you can see that green tinge probably best with these gold tones that are supposed to be gold, and they're very much not gold. They're like that weird greenish yellow. There's that weird kind of halo around the designs. And something else that really put me off, you will not be able to see it on this video, but it's something you can feel on the shirt. So with these shirts, obviously the only thing printed was the design itself. These are all transparent designs, so it's the design with a transparent background, right? So this area right here is just cotton. There's nothing there, there's nothing there except shirt. It's still very soft all around the design. These, I don't know how to describe it. The shirt is crunchy to a certain point. It's almost like they used a broad like adhesive sheet maybe to hold the shirt in position while they were printing it. And then maybe it left behind some kind of residue. But well outside the boundaries of the design, you can feel this crunchiness like all the way up to here, almost all the way to the seam of the shirt. It really affects the texture of the shirt. If you're looking for that very soft, high quality cotton fiber that is in the Bella Plus canvas shirts, it kind of kills it, honestly. It makes it weird, scratchy, like crunchy. It's not completely uncomfortable. You can feel it a little bit when the shirt is on you. You feel it a lot more from the outside than from the inside of the shirt. You can feel it a little bit from the inside of the shirt. It was soft enough. I did use this as a pajama shirt last night. I'm probably primarily going to use this as a pajama shirt. It's not terrible. I don't hate it. This is something that I might buy for myself. This is not something that I would feel comfortable selling to a customer. This is not even something that I would feel comfortable buying as a gift for a friend or family member. So I want to show you something real quick also regarding like the quality and stuff. So for one thing, they use the same printing process. It's a direct-to-garment printer. There's a weird little clump of what looks like ink right here. And it peels up. You can actually see underneath the shirt. And this came in like this. This was not something that happened after it arrived. So again, not something I would feel comfortable selling to a customer. So I want to show you something real quick, a really big difference here. So I have these really fine lines in shading. This is part of the reason I ordered samples this time when I haven't really ordered samples from my providers in the past. They're very blurry when you get up close, obviously. They don't show very well. These little sign, and obviously it still works from a distance. Like you get the impression from a distance, right? Like you can see the shading, you can see the shadows, you can see the detail work on the antlers, little individual swirls. That's supposed to kind of mimic like a wood, like a tree, right? So I want to show you all those lines over here on the CustomCat shirt. I'm going to come right over here to where I use the exact same shading technique on this Printful Cap Skull shirt. And I want y'all to see how sharp those lines are. Just how crisp that is. Again, I can't say enough good things about Printful right now. Obviously, when it comes down to the shirt comparison, in my opinion, Printful wins by far. The only pitfall that I have with Printful, and this honestly, to me personally, is not a very big deal. It can be make or break for some people, especially in the world of Amazon where everybody's expecting like fast shipping. I ordered these on March 29th. I ordered the CustomCat shirt on April 2nd. Both orders arrived on April 9th. So these did take a lot longer to get here. They came within the original delivery estimate that Printful gave me, so I knew ahead of time they would take a little while to get here. So I was aware of that. CustomCat did get here a lot faster. I feel like potentially the reason it got here faster is because of a sacrifice in the print process and in the quality of the actual product itself. Printful took a lot longer to produce the shirts, and a lot of that comes down to, I think, making sure that their quality, they do have a separate quality assurance process in their production process. So there's an entire quality assurance phase that they go through where, like, you know, somebody other than the worker who printed it puts eyes on it and is like, yeah, this is a good shirt, send it out. So they do have that additional quality assurance process. I feel like the Printful shirts are well worth the wait. And as long as you are upfront about your shipping times, a lot of customers like will not care. If it is something that, you know, affects them, they're probably not going to order, but it's not something you're going to have to worry about after somebody places their order. It's not going to be like somebody places an order and 2 days later is like, hey, where's my shirt? So as long as you're upfront about that, I have used Printful, like I said, for quite a long time. I've had over 160 orders with Printful. I know it's shameful. I probably should have ordered samples before now to see firsthand what the quality was like. But I've had over 160 orders with Printful through other designs and other shops that I've had. And I have had, over those 160 orders over the past year, one major issue. Just one. They sent a completely wrong shirt. It was a shirt. It was a design that was not even something that I offered. It was like a band shirt of some kind. I'm not sure. Like a, I don't remember. I know the name of the rock singer. It's a very popular rock singer, I think, from the 70s or 80s. And I know exactly who it is. And if somebody told me their name, I would be like, ah, yes, that's the lead singer from that band. I know who it is. I just cannot remember which specific one off the top of my head right now. And the girl had ordered a BTS design from me. And she was like, I don't even know who this person is when she got this shirt. So she messaged me. I messaged Printful, like, this is the wrong shirt. This is not even one of my designs that you sent this customer. They responded within a day. The girl had the right shirt within 5 days. So they turned around. They got it fixed super fast. I personally have not used CustomCat, but I will say up front, CustomCat is owned by the same people who own my locker on the Printify platform. I have used the Printify platform. I have not used my locker because it has some mixed reviews. It has various mixed. I had been told the reason I gave CustomCat a shot is that I was told they're owned by the people who own my locker, but they are managed separately. It's a different production facility. The quality is much better. I'm not in love with this quality. Like, I'm sorry if that's rude. It's, again, I don't hate it. It's something I would wear. It's something I have worn already. It is something I might buy for myself. It is not something that I would feel comfortable selling to a customer. It's not something I would feel comfortable, buying as a gift for a friend or family member. So, anyways, back to that. I have used the Printify platform. Not for very long. I did not, and there's a reason for that. So I will admit, with Printify, because it is a marketplace where you can connect with a bunch of different print providers. The quality varies wildly between print providers, and I have heard of a few specific print providers that tend to generally have a very good experience. I think Monster Digital is one of them. DTG2Go is supposed to be fairly good. Swift POD is supposed to be fairly good, but these are all companies that tend to have a lot of issues actually getting product out on time, or sometimes they'll even cancel and reroute your orders because they are so popular that they get so many orders that they cannot handle them all, and they have to outsource that production to another print provider who maybe is not as good of a quality. So what happened when I used Printify, I used them for, I think, 8 orders total. And of those 8, I only had one that did not have some kind of issue. Most of them, it was just delays, shipping delays, and a lot of these occurred before the big USPS shipping delays issue. So a lot of them were shipping delays, a lot of them were production issues, and things being created according to Printify. When I got the status updates on Printify, it said, oh, this is made, products that are never shipped out. They literally would lose these products while they were still in the warehouse. I do not remember which specific provider I used, but it was for face masks. And I literally only had one that didn't have to be refunded or shipped out again. Literally only had one order that I did not have to manually go in and talk to customer service and fix something. And their customer service, by the way, has historically been pretty slow. And especially during the pandemic, a lot of people pick up print on demand as a source of income if they're furloughed or laid off. I understand. It's a business that's booming right now. But I had a lot of issues with Printify. I only gave them 8 orders. I gave them a few chances. And I understand errors happen sometimes. Like I said, 161 orders, 1 issue. So they do still happen. But Printful is really good about getting them resolved. And the errors are rare in my experience. 161 orders and only 1 issue, versus 8 orders and 7 issues. That is a very high error rate. I can't math in my head right now, honestly. But it's probably, I would guess, close to an 80% error rate at least. Somewhere between 80 and 90 would be my guess. And that is insane. And Printful customer service, Printify customer service was very slow to respond on all accounts. eventually I did still get solutions, either like I said, refunds or reshipments. But it was incredibly frustrating for both me and my customers. So I'm always upfront about, hey, I design all of these things, but I partner with print shops to get these fulfilled. And they, if I kind of put that out there, a lot of them understand, especially if you give the impression, hey, I'm really trying to get this problem resolved. I apologize for the inconvenience. So I really haven't had a rude customer yet, even when it comes to like order delays or questions. That's just me personally. I know a lot of people deal with a lot of issues with online shopping. But yeah, that's part of why, like I'm definitely very much sold on the Printful versus the CustomCat over here. Again, I don't completely hate it, but it's not something I would sell, and it's not something I would even gift. It's okay. And even from this distance, you really can't see the quality issues. But if you get up close, they're pretty obvious, and that's just not something I'm comfortable with. Even these, like I said, you get really close and there's one or two issues, but these are things that are normal and to be expected with a specific printing process. And overall, the quality of these shirts has already far exceeded anything that I ever expected for them. And that's saying a lot considering I already had incredibly high expectations. I've always heard very good things about Printful. So real quick, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these away and I'm going to get out kind of like a bonus review, my Sublimation printed tote, also through Printful, and just talk a little bit about the pros and cons of that one as well. I will say I'm already in love with that tote. So it's going to get a pretty glowing review, but I will still talk about some of the pitfalls that I have noticed with that tote. So that's going to be up next. Okay, guys, so real quick, while I still have a little bit of daylight, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Printful Sublimation all over print tote. This is actually one of their least expensive tote options. Yes, there's already stuff in it because I have already been using it. I'm in love with this tote. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this tote. Obviously, like I said, I'm already in love with it. So the colors are, as you can see, super vibrant, like incredibly bright colors. They are amazing, even beyond what I was expecting for this. Excuse me. So I'm going to go in and show y'all again some of the finer details. So this is a different print process from the shirts that I just talked about, where the sublimation printing, the dye is basically injected directly into the fabric versus with the direct-to-garment printing where the ink is kind of layered on top of it. So these are the all-over print totes. So I basically was able to size the design up basically as much as I could get it to fit across the front of the tote bag. It could definitely go even bigger and just wrap around all the way to the seams, but obviously you want the whole design to be able to show. So they do have templates on Printful if you want a design that covers the entire surface of the tote, or if you have a repeating pattern, you can use that as well, and it would literally cover the entire bag. But for these, it's just, I have my little designs with the transparent backgrounds as the same ones I use for the t-shirts. But I have them on the tote bag. And so again, the quality is super crisp. So this particular design, it is the most detailed out of all of my designs. I went a little ham on painting the barn owl. So I painted all these feathers. Most of the other ones, if you notice from the t-shirts, they have some gradients, but there's not a whole lot of crazy shading going on. This one is obviously different. I really love the patterns on barn owl feathers. I think they're probably my favorite bird, just period. I love birds of prey, raptors, owls. I don't necessarily think crows count as birds of prey, but they're up there in my mind as far as like favorite birds go. But anyways, I've always loved those raptors and stuff, and I think barn owls are my favorite bird, just period. Even raptors, songbirds, just anything. They are my favorite. They have this very like ethereal look to me. And I love those patterns that they have on their wings, the spots with the barred feathers. They're beautiful, beautiful birds. So I really wanted to reflect that in this piece. I did a lot of, obviously, like individual, like painting like brush strokes on these feathers. And I wanted to see kind of how this turned out with this printing method. So I am honestly astounded at the quality of this, considering the intricacy of the original artwork. You can see every brush stroke. This is honestly just, I'm blown away by these. I love the Printful quality on all of these. Look how crisp the lines are, not just on the owl itself, but like on the moon, on the little stars all around, or the moons, sorry, moon phases. All of the little stars around him, the lines within this little moon, how sharp those line edges are, how bright and vibrant these colors are. I will say the one pitfall that I have with this tote is the cost. So base cost for this tote, manufacturing cost to buy it from Printful directly, is about, I want to say $14.95, $13 or $14.95. It's around $15. It's kind of small for that price. It's amazing, but that is from the standpoint of somebody ordering it directly from that manufacturer. When you are selling print on demand, obviously you need to account for, shipping. The shipping from Printful just for a tote, if you're just buying a tote, is $3 or $4.99. I'm not sure which, but that still puts the total price, base price plus shipping, close to $20, between $18 and $20. And then you have obviously all of the, credit card fees that you have to account for, your overhead costs as far as Shopify goes. If you're using Shopify, Etsy, you have to worry about listing fees. You have to worry about transaction fees. You have to worry about if somebody, and I hate this, if somebody clicked on your listing from an Etsy ad, if it's not an ad that you ran, and it was, because Etsy does the offsite ads now, whether you opt into them or not, and Etsy takes a pretty big cut at that point. So those are all things that you need to account for in your prices. And then you still need to be considering if you're making a profit at all. So it can be really difficult to price this. And so far, the fairest price that I've been able to find to come to with all of this, accounting for all of the fees, accounting for taxes, accounting for the base price of the tote itself, is around $30. As much as I love the quality of this tote, it just feels a little small for that price. And so my main recommendation would be, it's not something that is going to make or break for me. It is a little bit of a drawback, but just be very clear in your listing. And I would put this not in the description, but as a product photo about the size of the tote, because they are relatively small. And you don't want to, not every customer reads the full description. And you don't want to send this off to somebody and then they immediately go, hey, what gives this is tiny? I paid $30 for this. If you're clear and upfront about it, maybe they still come back to you with that. But then at least you have that, hey, it's in the description. It's even like the size is even listed as its own separate product photo. I was very upfront about the size of this tote bag. So at least you have something to, but as long as you're upfront about it and it's something that people have ample chance to see and make a decision on, it should still be, it may deter some people from buying it, but it should still be, as long as they're fully informed, it should still be a relatively minor factor, at least in my opinion. Even then, it still holds a decent amount of stuff. So one thing I want to show y'all, because it is an all over print tote, if it's not like a pattern, like a repeating pattern, it does by default print on both sides. So I'm going to open this up and kind of show y'all. It does hold a decent amount of stuff, even despite the size, and it's a decent quality little tote bag. So I kind of have, my iPad and stuff in here. I have some notes. I do Petco. I carry some gum, it carries a decent amount of stuff. So